In this video, I'm going to help you with Chapter 2, Project 5, which, like Chapter 2, Project 4 and 3, is going to be using a big spreadsheet to fill out a bunch of values in a table. Okay, so we have the document with the instructions is at this link, so we're going to click on that link. And basically, we're going to do the same thing we've done in the last two projects. So we are going to log into our Google account, which I already am. So up in the top right corner, if I let my mouse hover, you can see Google account Alana Tucky, that's me, right? Make sure that you're in Chrome and that, which is your browser, and that you're logged into your Google account. It makes things go so much nicer. So we're going to make a copy of the Chapter 2 Project 5 Google spreadsheet available at this link. Rename the sheet so that it includes your name. That will be super helpful for your instructor. So here is this Google spreadsheet, and it matches the review worksheet. So if I just wanted you to see it, here's the review worksheet. This table is that table right there. So we're going to fill out the pieces that we need for the table of the worksheet with Google Spreadsheet. Now the problem is that you don't own this document, so you can't just start typing in here. You have to click File and make a copy. That's why it's so important that you're logged into your Google account. So click File, make a copy, and then you're going to put your name in here. And it's up to you if you want the copy of or not. That's up to you, but you want your name. I wrote last name before, and that works usually unless there's two people with the same last name in a class, or your name somewhere up in the file name someplace. All right, either at the beginning or at the end. It's got to be there. Well, it doesn't have to be there, but it helps. And then you click Make a Copy. And there you can see it. I've got my copy right here, and it has my name in it, right? And then I can close the original down because I don't need it anymore. And you guys can't type in it anyway. Okay, so we're going to begin with midpoints, as we usually do. So if you remember, we need to fill out this whole table with draggable formulas, with the exception of the total, which is just a formula, not dragging. Okay, so we find the class midpoint by taking the average of the two lower class limits. So it's 0 and 5 in this case are the two lower class limits of the first two classes. So you take 0 plus 5 and you divide by 2. So 0 plus 5 in parentheses and then divided by 2. All right, so there's your first class midpoint. Now remember, to find the rest of the classes, or class midpoints, I should say, we use the class width. Now the class width is actually the distance from lower class limit, which is 5, to the next lower class limit of 10, 15, and so on. So that's going up by 5s, right? We can see the class width, it's 5, 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, right? So then what we'll do is we'll go up here to cell B3, we'll type equals B2, which is the class midpoint I've already found, plus 5, because that's my width. I hit enter, and then I click on that cell, and then I get my cursor to the bottom right corner. It'll go from an arrow to a hand sign to a plus sign. That's what you want. You want to hover over that dot in the bottom right corner. It'll turn into a plus sign, and then you hold down your left button and you drag it down, and there they are. There are all the midpoints. Okay, now to find relative frequencies, we're going to need the total. So down here at the bottom of the frequency column, we need a total. So we get that by typing equals, and look, it already knows what we want to do. We want the sum, here, let me click in there again, the sum from C2 to C11, right? That box, we wanted to add up that box, so we wanted to add them. So it knew what I wanted to do, so if I just hit the tab button, it filled it out for me. But that's the formula, sum from C2 colon C11. So start at C2, go to C11, enter. The one thing is that when you go from problem to problem, it'll always start at C2. It's just a question of C11, right? That's happening because this last 3 is in the 11 row. So from problem to problem, that will change. Okay, now for the relative frequency. That's equal to the frequency, which is in cell C2. So you have to use the reference C2, divided by the total, which the total in this case is 95. So I'm just going to type the number 95. That's the easiest way to do this. So equals C2 divided by 95. If you know what cell references are and you can do a fixed cell reference, that's also fine. All right, now this is totally what I want, right? It's already filling out everything. So I could click the little check mark. If you forget and you don't click it, it's okay. So if it comes out blank, you're all right. You just go back to this cell and get to the plus sign and drag it down. And there are all the values. Now we don't want this many decimal places. This is annoying. So we're going to highlight all of them so they're all blue. And we're going to go up here to where it has that decreased decimal place one. It's a 0 with an arrow pointing to the left. So 0.0 actually with an arrow pointing to the left. And you're just going to click it a lot. If you go too far, don't worry, you can get it back with this other one, which increases the decimal places right there. So you want 3 decimal places. At least I think we want 3. Let's go back and look at the review worksheet. Yeah, 3 decimal places. That's the most common one for us. All right, done. We've got our 3 decimal places. We're good. Now the cumulative frequency is a little strange. It's the weirdest one, I think, of all of them. So it's equal to C2 for the first one, but it's not the same as, so I don't want this. So I'm going to click the little X because I don't want that. That's not how it's going to work. So I want 12. You could also just type 12. That's fine. Then you want equals, and this formula is always the same. It's E2, because it's your cumulative frequency, E2, plus your frequency, which is in cell C3. So I want the next frequency. I want 17 plus the 12 that I already found above my head, right? So that one in the orange. And I hit enter. And then I want to drag this formula down. So I'm going to move my box back up so that the blue is around the 29. It says equals E2 plus C3. That's what we wanted. And then I'm going to move my cursor to the bottom right corner so it turns into a plus sign. And then I click and I drag down. I should end up in the same place I've got for my total. So it should have down here the same number that I had over here. 95, 95. That's correct. That's what you should see. If it doesn't, you've done something wrong. All right, last bit. Well, this is just the relative frequency again. So you type equals, but it's the relative frequency of the cumulative column. So you're going to do E2, E as an elephant, divided by my total, which is 95 in this case. I hit enter. Yep, that's exactly what I want. So I click the little check mark. It'll give us this 0 at the bottom. You can delete that. You don't need that 0. And then you just highlight all the decimal numbers. You can highlight the 1 as well. It's not going to hurt anything. And you want to click the last decimal places button and get down to 3 decimal places. And then you're all set. Everything is done. I'm going to make my font size bigger so you can see it all. There we go. Now the only other thing we need to do is we've done all this part, right? Part 3 we've done. We just need to highlight the frequencies and not include the total and insert a chart. Easy peasy. So we highlight the frequencies right here. That's the 12, the 17, and so on. But don't include that 95. Just the frequencies down to the last 3. You click Insert. You click Chart. And there's your chart. And then you just kind of move it because it has to be moved away. You can either move it to the side, and this over here on the right is the chart editor. If you don't want to see that and you don't really need it, you can just close. There's a little X button, you can close it. So it's right here. So you can move it around. You just cannot have it blocking your table, right? So it has to be completely off your table. And you're done. All you have to do now is make it so this is done and shareable and submitted. Now, you can do that a couple ways. The easiest way is to click Share. And down here where it says General Access, click on the Restricted and make it so anyone with the link is a viewer. And then you copy the link and you go to Canvas and you view it as a student. Sorry, I'm not in the student view. There. And you click the web URL because this is a website you're uploading. And then you paste your link. Give it a second and it takes a moment and then it says submit and you submit and confetti. So you know you did it and you're done. The other way to do it would be to save it as a, actually, I think that is the way I expect it. I think it's only allowing, oh, I know what it is. If you're in Excel, you can save it as an Excel file and upload it as an Excel file. This particular one, let me leave the student view. It will accept it as a web URL or an Excel file or a CSV file, which is same as an Excel file. So that's what you have to submit it as. So website URL or a file. There is no other way to do this. So it has to be one of those options. So you could save this as an Excel file and upload it. But if you're in Google Sheets, as I am, there's no need. You can just do the share thing and share it like that. All right, I hope that helps. And I do believe this will be the last time that I will help you with these ones. You have several more of these to finish throughout the course of the semester, but from now on, you're going to have to do them on your own. But they all work the same way. You find the midpoints, and you find one of the midpoints, and you use the width to find the rest. You find the total with a sum. You find the relative frequencies with that basic type of formula. The cumulative frequency is a little strange. You always find the first one just with the first one, and then the second one is always E2 plus C3, always. And then the cumulative relative frequency is always that formula, right? It's just that the number will not always be 95. So you want to write those formulas down and give yourself instructions if need be so that you know how to recreate this type of spreadsheet for all your future projects that are like this. And there are a few.